Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Solo. Remember Solo? Yeah, it kind of came in. Everybody forgot about it. I think the reason they're talking about it now is Alden Ehrenreich being in weapons. But we're going to talk about it because this article dropped on Variety, and I was reading through it. It was Ron Howard talking about, taking over the reins for Solo. Of course, they had creative differences with the previous directors, right?
One of the many creative differences that Kathleen Kennedy has had.
Many creative differences. He talked about the challenge and all of that. Well, buried in the middle of the article is a wonderful little nugget where he talked to George Lucas, and George Lucas's advice to him was to remember that Star Wars was for 12-year-old boys.
How dare he, that misogynistic prick.
So I have to wonder, right? Because we know George Lucas right out of the gate did not like Disney Star Wars. I have to wonder if he wasn't looking at the direction of Star Wars under Kathleen Kennedy, even back then, and being like, yeah, you're really losing the plot.
Well, he would have had to, because by then we had, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and then Solo was around that. They were working on Solo probably during Last Jedi and stuff. And I know that Lucas was, brought in and saw stuff that was going on. So, he must have had some concerns because he's like, remember, yes. And he didn't say it's, it's the Force, it's female. He didn't say it's it's for kids. Like he did, but he didn't. Like everybody's like, well, he said it's for kids. He said it's for kids, but he said specifically the target demographic was 12-year-old boys.
Yeah,
so target demographic skews male. No shit.
Yes, because the current audience for Star Wars, as much as Disney despises, this is the current audience for Star Wars. Largely, it is middle-aged men who would have been 10 and 12-year-old boys when Star Wars was at the peak of its popularity. And, there are lots of women who like Star Wars. Geeky loves Star Wars.
I have for years. But I was also a tomboy. So,
now you're Tom's girl.
Yeah, I'm not. I am your girl. I'm not like that. I mean, I can still do manly things, but I'm definitely very girly.
There's so many jokes.
It's true, though. I can't. But I make no mistake. Now, saying the target demographic is 12-year-old boys does not mean that girls aren't allowed. That's never what they said. But you can say, and you can point out, like with Star Wars, it has a male skewing audience. And if I remember right, this article, we talked about this before, nothing comes close to being the female side of Star Wars. Marvel, they had some projects that kind of moved towards the female end. And I think it crossed over into more of a female audience than a male audience.
Yeah.
But Star Wars has always remained solidly in the male demographic. That does not mean you're not allowed to enjoy it if you're not male. That does not mean that at all. But it means that it's predominantly made for, a male audience. And now the creator has said, he always has, basically thought it's been for a 12-year-old boy audience.
Oh my God, guys. Oh my God.
How
Toxic
dare he,
masculinity.
Right?
So God, I can't wait. One of these days, George Lucas is he's going to spill everything. Like he is going to tell people exactly what he fucking thinks about.
I don't know if he will.
Just count.
He did it once. He called
and they tried to delete it. He was with his wife at a Zoom chat with his.
Oh, that
school.
wasn't what I was talking about. But yeah, that happened.
Oh no, he did on Charlie Rose too. Then they canceled Charlie Rose, but he was on there and he said that he sold Star Wars to white slavers, and then he was on a Zoom chat with middle school, I think, him and his wife, and she was like a big wig at Starbucks or something. And somebody asked about Finn and how much, said, oh, I really like Finn. He's like, yeah, it's not my Star Wars. I did 6 movies and they're taking it in a totally different direction. And she's like, shut up, George. Shut up, George. Like, I know that look. It's like, shut up, stop talking, George.
Yeah,
and
but a lot of people don't see me giving that look to you all the time when we do these videos. I know. But it's just funny to me because that's something else back about Finn, is that this narrative has become that, people who, John Boyega and everybody was against, it's like, no. A lot of people thought Finn was going to be the lead. They thought he was going to be the main, and I guess Boyega said that I read something the other day that he was thinking it was going to be, he was, trained as a Jedi, so was she, and they had to fight each other. that him and Ray were gonna like be on opposite sides, and she was probably to go bad, or
yeah, that's where it seemed like it was going.
That's and then they had to fight. He had to bring her back, kind of situation, which I think what people thought was gonna happen, and it went from that to whatever the heck it, off a cliff by the Last Jedi and on. But Solo, when it came out, we talked about the fact that Ron Howard had to come in because Kathleen Kennedy had a hissy fit about something.
Yeah.
What else is new? That's how we ended up with Obi-Wan and little Leia, and it's just been downhill since. A lot of people didn't go to see Solo because of the fact that they were boycotting it over Disney Star Wars.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk a little bit more about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Hey, just a reminder that orcs are a-holes. They're all assholes. Every single one. There's no such thing as a good orc, according to me. So if you got the Kickstarter, there is a second chance offer for the Orcs Are Asshole pins, and we actually have the prototypes for these pins. They look really good. They're nice and big too. Very very heavy. So there you go. Heavy orcs. These are not
heavy, but they're nice.
They're not for 12-year-old boys.
I mean, they could be.
They could be, I guess. I don't know. They might like the fart orc. Anyway, yeah. So this article is making the rounds, I think, again, because of Alden Ehrenreich being in weapons. So I forgot he existed for like 6 years or whatever. He's actually a pretty good actor.
No, he was in Ironheart.
Oh, was I didn't watch that, so I don't really care. They were going to do actually Solo would have been better off as a series, I think, than trying to cram literally everything Han Solo ever talked about doing ever into one movie. I'm wondering if because Solo didn't do very well at the box office, they're like, yeah, this guy's box office poison. Let's not. He was great in Hail Caesar. I thought he was really good. I love Hail Caesar. Anyway, so this is Ron Howard talking about Solo again, like years after the fact. He said the creative clash is still just a shame. I actually like Ron Howard. I think he's all right. I think he's okay. Lucasfilm blamed tonal disconnect with original directors, but some of their footage was actually great. So he's talking about Chris Miller and Phil Lord, who are pretty jokey. And he said, yeah, just tonally it wasn't going to work.
As opposed to Last Jedi?
As opposed to Last Jedi, right? So Howard said this came down to the movie's tone. Kathleen Kennedy asked him to do a lunch meeting where they were joined by Solo co-writer Jonathan Kasdan, who is the son of the Kasdan who wrote Empire Strikes Back, right? They basically said we've reached, and he's also the one who did Willow too.
I was gonna say, isn't he the dumbass who did the Willow one? The sequel, yeah.
They basically said we've reached a creative impasse with Lord and Miller. Would you ever consider coming in? Howard remembered. I looked at some edited footage. I saw what was bothering them. There was a studio that liked the script the way it was and wanted the Star Wars movie, but there's a disconnect early on tonally. They weren't convinced that Phil and Chris what they were doing was working effectively. I mean, these are the Lego movie guys. So he's just talking about like, yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at all the stuff. I came in, I tried to fix it. I did what I could do. I'm sure some of it was good, but we had to do what we had to do. Okay. Howard even got the chance to consult with Star Wars creator George Lucas, who was not involved in the development or filming of Solo. Before Howard committed to taking over as Solo director, he got advice from George Lucas. The creator told him, just don't forget it's for 12-year-old boys.
Again, that's not the narrative from Disney. So.
Yeah, that's not the narrative for Disney. And that's what they talk about how, with the prequels, he was trying to go for that demographic too. Phantom Menace definitely skewed younger. Yeah, he said that he was very disappointed in the reception of the movie. In 2019, he was on a podcast. He said it made a lot of money. It just didn't live up to expectations. I came in eager to help, felt like I could, and I had a blast. Actually, I think he did okay. I would say it was probably the best case scenario that they could do given what they were trying to do. It did feel Star Wars-y.
Well, he said usually it takes 3 years. He said I had 8 months.
8 months. Yeah, and had an experience. I feel good about how it turned out. Now, he did the original Willow. So Ron Howard, I mean, he knows George Lucas going like way back. I mean, they worked on American Graffiti together. I mean, George Lucas basically, well, he didn't discover him because he was already a child star, but I mean, they have a relationship going back decades. So if George Lucas is like, hey, if you're going to do a Star Wars movie, remember it's for 12-year-old boys.
I just think that's hilarious. I just want to say, suck it. Because, because these people have been screeching. They're like, it's for kids. It's for kids. Okay. If it's for kids, why do we get half the shit we got in the Acolyte?
Yeah.
Just asking. But we understand. Everybody understands that it was meant. It's for kids, and they want to have a kid audience, but they also make it for adults too that grew up with Star Wars, and the kid in you kind of situation. But lately, they keep trying to argue it's for children, but they're putting stuff out that isn't very children focused, and it's definitely they keep trying so hard to make it about women. And as a woman, you need to knock that shit off. I love Star Wars as it is. I didn't need you to make it the Force is female bullshit. That doesn't mean you can't have strong female characters. It always has. It always has. But it's always meant to be a male target demographic. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean, look at the toy sales. I mean, yeah, girls played with Star Wars toys too, I'm sure, but a lot of them played with their brothers' Star Wars toys. And yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, like all the commercials, it was boys playing with Star Wars toys. We knew that. Everybody knew that.
There were some that had girls in it too.
There were a couple, yeah, but they always gave the girl Princess Leia. Like, here's a token Leia. You can go play with her. She can go, do her hair or something.
Playing with Leia.
But then the Ewoks came later.
They even had the fashion dolls though of Leia and stuff.
They
back
did.
Then, that looked like a Marie Osmond knockoff.
Oh God, yeah. And then they had in the 90s, they had a whole line of I remember they had the Leia action figures with changeable clothes and stuff. It was very weird. I mean, Star Wars it was cross-generational. It was cross-gender. It sounds bad. Now it literally is cross-gender, but it's like everybody loves Star Wars. But I mean, if you want to hone in on what the actual, at least from George's point of view, what the actual target audience was, it was 12-year-old boys. It was a space adventure story for 12-year-old boys.
This scatter plot, even, which we've shown you this before, the colors, the red and the yellow are Star Wars. The blue and the green are Marvel. And you can see the blue and the green come really close to the female audience, which is on the left-hand side. And they usually come closer to that, and some of them have crossed over, like Agent Carter and stuff. But the majority of Star Wars is way, 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 way far, ironically, to the right-hand side, which is male.
Male, yeah. And and so what's going on is they're chasing that audience off. Those are your bread. And again, I'm not saying that there aren't exceptions. There certainly are exceptions. Geeky being one of those exceptions. She actually still, I think,
there
Star
are a lot of women who always love Star Wars. They keep trying to say it was women were excluded. Women were never excluded, but it does lean male. It is what it is.
It is what it is. And when you look at what George was going for, he basically was making a movie for himself as a kid. That's what he was doing. He was like, I'm taking all this stuff that I watched as a kid, and I'm telling a story for the next generation, and I'm telling the story basically to my 12-year-old self, and it deals with your father and all the problems you're having, and it deals with, you fix up your hot rod and all this, all the stuff that he was really into, right? In World War II, he was fascinated with, obviously he would be because we're coming out of it, but he's, military plane, all that stuff. So basically all the stuff that he was a big fan of or had an influence on him, he took it all and smushed it together and made a story for, 12-year-old boys like himself that were into that, same with Steven Spielberg too. A lot of his movies were obviously geared toward a younger demographic. It just tells me that there probably was a lot more to the conversation, but he's probably like, yeah, I'm looking at the direction Disney's taken Star Wars in, and it's way the hell not what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I just love it. I went to Lucas for advice, and he's just like, just remember, it's for 12-year-old boys.
It's for boys.
So, I mean, and he had to have had a reason to say that. We all know what the reasons were.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure that he made that very clear to KK before he left, and we know how that went. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up.
We're going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, rants, guys. Again, Orc Pins, you got a week yet on Kickstarter. Go to badorcs.com. It'll take you right to the page. Got the prototypes in. They look really, really good. I think you guys will be happy. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Attention, stupid humans. All orcs are evil, just like Gary Gygax and Professor Tolkien warned you. Series 1 of these orc enamel pins are on Kickstarter again for a very limited time. Pick your clan, join the Horde, and cause some mayhem. Go to badorcs.com. That's badorcs.com.